Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. We've got some pretty big breaking news this morning. Was not expecting this, but woke up to my Twitter timeline absolutely going crazy because we've got some brand new developments in the Microsoft attempt to acquire Activision Blizzard and King, which basically means Microsoft trying to buy Call of Duty, right? As we know, this has been going on for I think like 17 or 18 months now. We've covered it a handful of times here on the channel when some big news has dropped. And as of this morning, we got the decision on the Microsoft versus FTC case that was going on for the past couple of weeks. Basically, the FTC trying to block this acquisition, which would mean that if the FTC won this court case, this wouldn't happen. Microsoft would not be able to buy Activision Blizzard. And well, as of this morning, we got some breaking news tweets. Now, Charlie Intel's been covering this to a T, so we're just gonna be basically looking at the Charlie Intel timeline here, but breaking: Microsoft wins. The judge has ruled on Microsoft's side. The federal judge has denied the FTC's preliminary injunction allowing Microsoft to acquire Activision Blizzard in the US. This still leaves the UK CMA block to get through to close the deal worldwide. So this is very important here. You might see this and say, okay, the FTC lost, Activision won, that means this is a done deal, right? No, nothing is official yet. This basically just allows Microsoft to attempt to close the deal, or to basically get the deal done now, whereas if this was reversed in the FTC one, it would have fallen apart right then and there. But basically, the judge says here, this court's responsibility in this case is narrow. It is to decide if, notwithstanding these current circumstances, the merger should be halted, perhaps even terminated, pending resolution of the FTC administrative action. For those reasons explained, the court finds the FTC has not shown a likelihood it will prevail on its claim in this particular merger. In this specific industry may substantially lessen competition. To the contrary, the record evidence points to more consumer access to Call of Duty and other Activision content. The motion for a preliminary injunction is therefore denied. So if you were following this case along closely, you probably noticed that the FTC had some very strange arguments or very strange points they were trying to prove. Basically, Microsoft's whole stance this entire time is that we're not trying to make these games exclusive. We don't want Call of Duty on just Xbox. We want it available everywhere. We're mainly in this for the mobile stuff, right? Like they want, Activision and King's mobile presence. While Call of Duty is a huge benefit, it's not, I guess, necessarily the number one thing they were after, but it was a huge talking point in this overall case, right? And essentially, there were times like the FTC was saying, okay, but what if this happens? And then Microsoft later this year says they want an exclusive skin for only Xbox players. How would that work? That seems a bit unfair. And I don't think the FTC realized that PlayStation for the past like 4, 5, 6 years, I'm not sure how long it's been since it changed over to PlayStation, but PlayStation's had exclusive skins. PlayStation's had year-long access to MW2 Spec Ops or whatever it was back in MW 2019. They had Survival, I think it was. They had year-long access to that before Xbox and PC got it. Or, they have the early beta access. Like, Sony's had plenty of exclusivity. The main concern here, obviously, is Microsoft getting basically Call of Duty exclusivity at the forefront, meaning games are only on Xbox. And I know you guys are probably already commenting saying, great, now I got to buy an Xbox. That's not the case. According to Xbox, they don't want to make Call of Duty an Xbox only game. Now, we're probably not going to be seeing month-long exclusivity on PlayStation or early beta access on PlayStation if this comes to fruition. Instead, it might be shifted over to Xbox, or there might just not be any at all. Because let's be honest, as players here, there is nothing good that comes from exclusivity. There's no good reason that you have to have this console to play this specific mode or this specific game. That's shutting down diversity, and basically exclusivity is harming consumers, right? It's good if that PlayStation player already has a PlayStation and that new game drops on PlayStation. They don't have to go out and buy that new console. But if an Xbox only player really wants a game that's just on PlayStation, that kind of sucks. That's then extra money they have to spend just to play like one game in this instance. But this is big news. Now, here's the very important part of this. Note, this only allows Microsoft to acquire Activision Blizzard King for the US as of right now. Currently in the UK, the CMA there is basically trying to do the same thing the FTC is doing here and block it there. So if that were to happen, basically Call of Duty wouldn't be available in the UK, which would be a huge deal as well. Because Microsoft wouldn't be able to have this exclusivity and own it there, right? So that could essentially take it away from UK players, and the game wouldn't be available there unless you're like buying it through other means, which would be possible, but still weird. Whereas in the US, it would be completely fine as Microsoft would own Activision Blizzard King. So this is not a done deal yet. While this is essentially the biggest stepping stone so far in having this deal happen, it's not a end all be all, okay, it's done, everything is fine and good, it's over. Because this still has to pass, or this still has to get denied, and we need an update on what's going on there. That said, I can't help but feel like the decision here with the FTC being denied is going to be ignored by what's going on at the UK CMA. Also, this is what Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, had to say about that. We're grateful for the court for swiftly deciding in our favor. The evidence showed that Activision Blizzard is good for the industry, and the FTC's claims about console switching, multi-game service subscriptions, and cloud don't reflect the realities of the gaming market. Since we first announced this deal, our commitment to bringing more games to more people on more devices has only grown. We've signed multiple agreements to make Activision Blizzard's games, Xbox first-party games, and Game Pass available to more players than there are today. We know that players around the world have been watching this case closely, and I'm proud of our efforts. Essentially, again, just reiterating, we don't want games just on Xbox. Now, I'm sure Game Pass will have some features, like maybe some old Call of Duty games at a discount, or because of the Game Pass subscription, you'll be able to access those. That's a possibility, but new Call of Duty games, the main focus, why we're all here on this channel, obviously, shouldn't be changing. Now, the design, the publishing and stuff, that might alter, but the availability shouldn't, at least according to everything that Xbox has said so far, which is the main takeaway here. Now, that said, part of what Microsoft is trying to do is make these games more accessible, specifically like Call of Duty. They want to bring it to Switch as well, so it'd be available on Xbox, PC, mobile, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch as well. So just adding up that player base even more and introducing new players and new means to access the game. Also, little post edit Zach here, in case you're wondering what exactly is going to be happening with Call of Duty if this does fully close and Microsoft has full ownership over Call of Duty and whatnot. Probably nothing, at least according to everything that we've heard so far. This is sort of a general consensus from everyone in the community that's really involved in this kind of stuff. Charlie Intel, for instance. Yeah, we're going to see it on the Switch potentially, but Sony still has their exclusivity deal lasting through COD 2023. And then for COD 2024, that's when any potential changes could be happening. But, you know, this year's Call of Duty, nothing substantial would change if this does end up closing here in the coming days and weeks. Also, one last thing here, Charlie Intel does mention that based on the judge's ruling today, Microsoft can close the Activision deal next week, again, just in the US. So if they want to get this part out of the way and just get it done with, they could essentially close this deal here and they'd be able to move on and basically get into the next steps of what's going to happen with this merger and this takeover. Whereas elsewhere, they'd still be waiting on the UK CMA, which is the, I think, last stepping stone, if you will. We'll have to wait and see for that, but definitely some very crazy news here today with this deal being approved by the FTC. And that said, that's going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed, let me know by dropping a like on the video. And if you are new here, I got you covered with all things going on in COD, and yes, everything that's going on with this, because it has so much impact on Call of Duty. Once we have the final decision and everything, I'll be covering that here on the channel. It's going to be a video like breaking Microsoft now owns Call of Duty or something like that, right? So we'll have to be on the lookout for that. But if you want to stay up to date with all things, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.